pinnacle of human perspective.
Welcome to Unbiased and On the Fence. I'm Shane. Thanks for joining me. Well, the Mandela effect, the so-called Mandela effect, or the quantum effect, is a wake-up call, basically. I'm going to start with basically a summary or a thesis statement, and then I'll break it down a little bit further. Most of this is covered in previous videos and material, but I wanted to combine it all in one video to make it easy, pithy. It's going to be fast-paced, so you may need to watch it several times, but I want to make sure I keep everyone's attention. So I want to also encourage you to see if you can fit any of the changes that apply to you or your 100% changes, and see if they fit into this narrative some sort of way. Because for me, all of this was pointing to one narrative, basically. And it was a wake-up call that was predicted in a Dolores Cannon book years before any of these changes were even noticed. What we're looking at is we are basically in a simulation, a matrix, and we're stuck here, going around and around. We're not developing. They've tried to help us throughout history over time, and the technologies they've given us to increase our leisure time were taken and used for war and other selfish reasons. So the Mandela effect or quantum effect is actually a way for us to wake up to these changes, catch the little hints, because they can't come right out and tell us. They have to deliver the message through people within the simulation in order to go by the whole law of free will and all of that. So for me, my 100% thing was Rodin's thinker statue. Now, I had one of these as a kid, so for me, I knew 100% it had changed. There was no doubt in my mind about it. We had a little miniature statue of it in the house, and I would draw it as a kid from time to time. It was in the beginning of Mr. Wizard's World. If you look at how that statue has changed, not only does he have this sort of thing coming out the side of his head, he has completely shifted to the left side. Now that gets into the right and the left brain of humans. Now when we go to school, pretty much all the subjects, math, science, reading, all of that, is geared towards the left side of the brain, the logical side of the brain, the sequential brain, rational thought, planning, all of that sort of thing. That's all left brain activity. Art and music, drama, that's right brain. Imagination. So if we think of it as the left brain is really our connection to the simulation, what we deal with in everyday life, and the right brain is our connection with the overall collective consciousness, each other, and also outside of the simulation. That's our connection, is the right brain, the quantum brain, if you will. Society has completely neglected that, and that's what Rodin's thinker statue changes are pointing to. The fact that we have completely moved to the left side, not using our right brain like we should, and we don't have the leisure time that we should have to be able to use our right brain like we should and just imagine and just daydream, you know? And that's our connection to others. So our left brain is for ourselves, self-serving reasons, to have a job and education, to learn. The right side is compassion and love, and all of these changes are pointing towards that. So we got Rodin's thinker statue that's completely moved to the left, showing us what's wrong. And if you notice, he's also, his fish used to be covering his third eye, and his eyes used to be closed, showing us that when he's thinking, he's actually going inside of his mind and connecting to the outer world, outside of the matrix. But now his hand is beneath his chin, and he looks more bored than anything, really. Somebody made the joke that another YouTuber that he looks like the dumper now. I thought that was pretty funny. But yeah, he's the thinker statue, and if you look at many of the logos with the T's chopped off, they're the same way. They've had the left side. If they're facing us, it's their right side chopped off, just like Rodin's thinker has moved to the left. The right side of the T's facing us have moved to the left, and they're all pointing to the same thing. Even if you look at the American Gothic painting with the ladies now facing to the left, pointing to the same thing. Other changes like Oscar Mayer. Oscar Mayer is baloney. So baloney, we look to Mayer for the reason of what the baloney is. And what do we find? Mayer sings about how he found out there's no such thing as the real world that we're living in, pointing to the same narrative. Luke, I'm your father. if we think about it, Darth Vader is from the dark side, right? So as a rebuttal to Luke, I'm your father, we have the rebuttal, no, I'm your father. And if he's the dark side, then we have the light side saying, no, we're really your father. So all of this is fitting into this narrative of right brain versus left brain. I think it's easy to see once you start seeing that. To get out of this matrix, you've got to move back to your right brain. You've got to take the time to love others, think about others, service to others. This is what this is all telling us. The movie, The Never-Ending Story, I don't know if you all remember that movie. I mentioned it in another video, but that movie is about the nothing taking over Fantasia. Fantasia is described as being the hopes and the dreams of humanity. And also in that movie, we see that there's this multiple layer of realities or simulations, basically, just like we're living in here. Towards the end, they point out the fact that the people watching the movie, The Never-Ending Story, are part of the boy who was bullied and ran and got this book from the bookstore, that when he began to read the book, he began to be involved in the story within the book of a trail, which is the whole story of the Fantasia being taken over by the nothing. And when we see the nothing, it's what is left is how it's described. Like the left side of your brain, it was sort of a double entendre. What's left after the hopes and dreams of humanity are gone. So please think about that and see if you can fit the changes that you're aware of into this narrative of getting back to the right side, getting back to the heart, the compassion for others, the love, the divinity, to get in touch with our divine nature, our little spark of God that's within each and every one of us, which is what we were here to learn, how to love, to realize that everyone's equal. We all deserve to be treated equally, and all the things that were given to us to help us along the way have been taken by the elite, and we weren't given that true opportunity. But under the law of free will, they can't just bust in and say, hey, this is how things are. We still have to have that satisfaction of knowing that we discovered the way. So you have the choice of free will to believe what I'm telling you or not. But it all does make sense, and it's a good thing to know that these changes aren't accidental. I can definitely rule out the D-Wave computer and CERN, which were my initial thoughts, because if you think about it, these same people that kept these other technologies from us, they wouldn't go and change the most popular things of everything and get everyone's attention about their ability to do these changes and not use it in some kind of self-serving manner like they've done with every other technology they've come up with. And we can pretty much assume these aren't accidental, because accidental changes wouldn't affect just the popular things to get people's attention either. And we can rule out multiple timelines or the merging of timelines, because things like Looney Tunes, which absolutely makes no sense if to pass up TOONS for TUNES, which actually makes no sense if you're playing off of the words cartoons. So I think there's enough subtle clues as to this not being accidental. These are purposeful changes. They're pointing at something, but they're done in such a way that free will is not infringed upon, because we do have the opportunity to believe that it's the D-Wave or CERN or some left brain logical explanation for it. But really, you have to go to the right brain to answer this. And the fact is, we are in a simulation.
The odds that we're in base reality is 1 in billions.
They're trying to help us out, and this is sort of their olive branch they're extending to us to show us what's really going on here and to help us out of the matrix. So thank you for watching. If you enjoyed it, please hit the like button and subscribe, and I'll see you on the next one. Thanks.